So at this point, I have in your sheets the mistakes. I thought this is a good part to put the mistakes that mother-in-laws make. So, and these are, you have that list, these are the top mistakes that mother-in-laws make. Now, I have to tell you that the psychologists that study this say that maybe 1/4 of mother-in-laws make these mistakes out of ignorance, but 3/4 of mother-in-laws are making these mistakes on purpose, okay? So, we will now look at them. Number 1, you stop by unannounced at your, and again, 9 out of 10 times it's the daughter-in-law. So you're stopping by unannounced at your son's home, who's married, and you often don't even knock. You just go right in. Now, you're breaking a healthy boundary. What the mother-in-law is saying is, I'm always the number one woman in my son's life. And just because he lives in this home, I am the queen then. And so I can come into this home anytime I want, and I can just go right through the door, okay? So it's a power play. It's what a mother-in-law is telling the daughter is, you're always going to be second place in my son's life. Mother-in-laws, you are breaking the very command that God started with Adam and Eve and has repeated, that a husband and a wife leaves their parents, in a sense, psychologically, and are united and become one. And so when you are, in some subtle way, saying that you are more important to your son or daughter than their own spouse, you are scripturally breaking one of the direct commands of God. And you should not be doing that. You are breaking very healthy boundaries. My wife and I, we have 6 kids. They all have their own homes. We usually always call. Even if we're nearby, we call and say, hey, we're in the area. Do you mind if we stop in? We want to visit. We always let them know. And when we show up at the door, it doesn't matter if it's unlocked. We knock on the door and wait for them to answer, or one of the grandchildren. We don't walk in like we own the place. That's just us, okay? There's got to be some healthy boundaries. Number 2, you give unsolicited advice she didn't ask for. So I think it's very good to give advice to your in-laws and your children, but you have to have the real wisdom to know when it's unsolicited and when you are just talking too much. Most of the time when our kids talk to us, they're not really looking for advice. They're just sharing their day and what's going on. And it can seem like they're actually begging for advice. And my wife and I want to give advice. We want to be like, hey, here's what you're doing wrong, and here's what you should do. This is what we did. But we have learned that unless it's very clear that they go, hey, Dad, do you have some advice on this issue? If we don't hear that clearly, or Mom, we've learned, we just listen, sympathize, pray for you. And now you have to understand, my wife and I are in it for the long run with our kids, the in-laws, son-in-laws, and daughter-in-laws, and our 20 grandchildren. We're in it for the long run. So we're not going to mess up now pushing something knowing that this might cause a division or them to shut us out. We're in it for the long run. We've discovered the long run's a way better way to go, and you slowly have influence over the many years. Let's see, number C, you criticize her parenting skills. I would never do that. That is a big mistake. You talk to your son about his wife in a negative way. What you're trying to do is destroy your son's marriage. What you're trying to do is be a mama's boy, and you are messing up your son's marriage, you're messing up your grandchildren. This one occurs a lot, and I just mind boggle, like I can't imagine this ever happening, but supposedly it happens all the time. You fold your daughter-in-law's laundry without permission. Or you go in and you rearrange the kitchen, moving the cups and plates, or you rearrange the living room furniture into what would be a better look. Or I'm like, what? I mean, I can't imagine my mother-in-law or my mother ever doing that. But like 40% of mother-in-laws, I mean, and again, it's your way of putting down your daughter-in-law. It's your way of saying, I'm the boss, and you need to remember this. And this goes with the last one there, by the way, which is you behave passive-aggressive. And then you play the victim. So you go in, you want to mess up your daughter-in-law. You play with her mentally. So you rearrange the cupboard. Your daughter-in-law comes in and goes, Mom, what are you doing? Why are you changing dishes? I wanted it the way it was. And you go, I was just being loving and caring, and I wanted to help, son. I didn't mean anything. I love you all. That's that passive-aggressive. It should be aggressive-passive is really the way that should go. You're aggressive and passive. And you're playing a psychological game. You know it. The daughter-in-law knows it. The son is probably too naive. All right.